Today, you are going to see the best mafia movies in history, the ones that gave us extremely complex, nuanced characters, stories of loyalty, betrayal, and power, many of the greatest films of all time. Personally, it's my favorite genre, so get comfortable because today on CinePrime,
the team wins.
Team.
Directed by Brian De Palma. I'll tell you up front that this list will feature several movies by De Palma and Martin Scorsese, as both are masters of the mafia genre, especially Scorsese. The film follows a group of agents led by Elliot Ness, played by Kevin Costner, as they try to take down the legendary gangster Al Capone, masterfully portrayed by Robert De Niro. With the help of veteran cop Jimmy Malone, played by Sean Connery in an Oscar-winning role, Ness forms a team determined to fight corruption and organized crime in 1930s Chicago. The film is a perfect mix of action, drama, and unforgettable moments, such as the iconic baseball bat scene I mentioned earlier, or the legendary shootout on the train station stairs. This movie is not only a tribute to gangster cinema, but also a masterpiece of De Palma's visual style, featuring his famous long takes and impeccable handling of tension.
You sure?
Check it, it's gold.
You know what, Yeg? I believe you.
Directed by the Coen brothers, this is modern noir that combines intrigue, betrayal, and mafia codes with the unique style of these directors. The film follows Tom Reagan, the right-hand man of a powerful mafia boss who becomes entangled in a dangerous game of divided loyalties and manipulation between two rival gangs. With sharp dialogue, loaded with sarcasm, and an atmosphere thick with tension, this film is an homage to classic gangster cinema, but with that unmistakable Coen brothers touch. The iconic forest scene, where Tom faces a devastating moral dilemma, perfectly showcases how the film explores the complexity of its characters and the moral ambiguity of the criminal world. If you're a fan of mafia films with a more psychological and artistic approach, Miller's Crossing is a must-see. Considered the spiritual sequel to Scarface, this film is directed by Brian De Palma and stars a brilliant Al Pacino in a story of redemption, tragedy, and crime that stays with you long after you watch it. Al Pacino plays Carlito Brigante, a former drug trafficker who, after being released from prison, tries to leave his criminal life behind and start anew. However, escaping the past isn't easy when he's surrounded by enemies, temptations, and betrayals. The film stands out for its emotional depth and moments of pure tension, such as the unforgettable final chase in the subway, a scene full of style and suspense. Additionally, Sean Penn delivers an incredible performance as David Kleinfeld, a corrupt lawyer who becomes yet another obstacle in Carlito's path to redemption. Carlito's Way isn't just a mafia movie. It's a modern tragedy with a protagonist caught between his desire for change and a past that won't let him go. It's a gem that couldn't be left off this list. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want, follow me on my personal Instagram. Directed by David Cronenberg and starring my favorite actress Naomi Watts alongside Viggo Mortensen, this movie portrays the Russian mafia in a raw, unfiltered way, with complex and deeply unsettling characters. The film shows how Watts' character unwittingly becomes entangled with dangerous mafiosos, particularly Mortensen's character, who is the most complex and mysterious figure in the story. The relationship and development between these two characters are masterfully handled, and the portrayal of the Russian mafia is strikingly realistic. The infamous bathhouse scene is one of the most realistic and incredible sequences ever filmed, and I can't show it here because, well, you see Viggo Mortensen naked, but it's absolutely insane. The only downside of the movie, which keeps it from being a perfect 10 for me, is that it feels too short. I think the story could have been further developed. That said, it's still a masterpiece from start to finish, and a must-watch if you love gangster films.
Tell me what you just fucking said.
Forget it. I'm high. I'm fucking high. I must be high. I would never say what you thought I said.
Now we're talking about Martin Scorsese, the greatest director, not only of Mafia cinema, but perhaps of all time. The Departed is a masterful crime thriller that finally earned the legendary director his well-deserved Oscar. The plot follows two men living parallel lives. Matt Damon, a police officer secretly working as a spy for mob boss Jack Nicholson, and Leonardo DiCaprio, a cop undercover in Costello's organization. This cat-and-mouse game, filled with lies and betrayals, keeps the audience on the edge of their seats as both characters try to uncover each other's identities. With an incredible script, masterful direction, and an ending so shocking it leaves you speechless, The Departed is not only one of the best Mafia movies, but also one of the greatest thrillers in cinema. It's my third favorite Scorsese movie, a perfect 10. And what's next is my second favorite.
For a while, I believed that's the kind of love I had.
This masterpiece takes us deep into the business, betrayals, and excesses of the Mafia in Las Vegas during the 1970s and 80s. Based on real events, the film follows Sam Ace Rothstein, played by Robert De Niro, an expert gambler tasked with running a casino for a criminal organization. But his empire starts to crumble due to corruption, greed, and the complexities of human relationships. The writing and depth of this character are incredible. Ace isn't a typical sociopathic mafioso, but rather a businessman with questionable morals, whose ambition leads him down a dark path. Though Ace seems to achieve success, it's threatened by the violence of Nicky, played by Joe Pesci, and the chaos caused by his wife, portrayed by Sharon Stone in one of the best female performances in cinema. Scorsese's direction shines in every detail, and the cinematography is stunning. This film is a brilliant portrayal of how greed and betrayal can destroy even the most solid empires.
You wanna play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend.
Brian De Palma's masterpiece. From this point on, every movie on this list is in my personal top 10 of all time, because I absolutely love Mafia films. Scarface is the definitive story of a criminal's rise and fall. The movie follows Tony Montana, a Cuban immigrant who arrives in Miami with nothing but whose ambition and brutality make him one of the city's most powerful drug lords. However, his meteoric rise is accompanied by excess, paranoia, and an unchecked ego that leads to his inevitable downfall. Everything in Scarface is perfect. The setting, the soundtrack, the script, the characters. This is a story full of strong emotions, betrayals, murders, and iconic moments. Scarface isn't just a mafia movie, it's a portrait of unbridled ambition and the consequences of limitless power. Al Pacino's performance, De Palma's stylized direction, and the film's raw, violent approach turned it into a cult classic that remains a cultural reference to this day.
Any problem? No trouble. Kid stuff.
One of the most underrated films in history, this masterpiece by director Sergio Leone isn't just a mafia movie. It's a story about life itself. Regret, nostalgia, friendships, loss, and betrayal. The film tackles universal themes through the life of Robert De Niro's character, from his childhood and beginnings in the mafia to his old age, haunted by regrets and his past. The legendary Ennio Morricone's score enhances the melancholic and nostalgic tone of the film, creating a cinematic masterpiece that delves into ultra-complex characters, full of nuances and contradictions, with moments of nobility, as well as inhuman and atrocious acts. The film was largely overlooked at the time, leading Sergio Leone into a deep depression, as he considered it his magnum opus. Today, the movie has gained critical recognition, but I still think we need to give this masterpiece more credit.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
My favorite movie of all time, and undoubtedly Martin Scorsese's magnum opus. Everything in Goodfellas is perfect. The movie tells the life of Henry Hill, narrated by himself in voiceover, from his childhood and idealization of the Mafia to his inevitable downfall. The direction of Goodfellas is masterful, with an editing pace that wastes not a single second. Everything is perfectly calculated. As for the characters, we have Henry Hill, a man with few scruples who's addicted to the Mafia lifestyle. Jimmy Conway, a character we initially see almost as a hero through Henry's eyes, but as the story progresses, we uncover darker and darker layers. And Tommy DeVito, a completely sociopathic character who wreaks havoc throughout the film. The script is flawless from beginning to end, and while it seems impossible, it keeps getting better and better until the iconic, memorable finale. Goodfellas forever redefined not just Mafia cinema, but cinema in general, and while it's my personal favorite, there's still one movie that is objectively greater. Not just the best Mafia movies, but among the best films in the history of cinema. In this spot, I include both The Godfather and The Godfather Part II, masterpieces directed by Francis Ford Coppola that defined the genre and marked a before and after in filmmaking. The Godfather introduces us to the Corleone family, with Marlon Brando as the charismatic Vito and Al Pacino as Michael, a man who wants nothing to do with the Mafia, but ends up becoming the most ruthless and powerful mob boss. From the opening wedding scene to the iconic ending, it's a story of power, loyalty, and betrayal. The Godfather Part II is considered one of the few sequels that surpass the original, delving into Vito's origins, portrayed by Robert De Niro, and Michael's growth as a leader. Alternating between the two stories, it shows how power corrupts and isolates, leading Michael to loneliness. With sublime performances, masterful direction, and an unforgettable score by Nino Rota, these two films aren't just the pinnacle of Mafia cinema, but also a profound study of family, power, and morality. Probably best movies ever.